Hey, before we get started, weight loss drugs are everywhere, and right now they may seem pricey and out of reach until now. Hims is changing the game and offers weight loss drugs with the same active ingredients as Ozempic and Wegovy. I think I said that right, except they're accessible and affordable. At hims.com/touchdown, you can get treatment prescribed 100% online. A medical provider on the platform can determine if a weight loss plan is right for you, and if prescribed, your personalized plan shipped directly to your home for as little as $69 a month in a 10-month plan of oral medications for only $165 per month with a 12-month compound GLP-1 plan paid up front. No hidden fees, no access, no fees, and no membership costs. Get started at hims.com/touchdown. That's hims.com/touchdown. I was talking to Maxx Crosby just now. I got no idea how the hell a kid from Texas with no offers ends up at Eastern freaking Michigan. How'd this happen?
It's honestly crazy. You know, it's like I told you, I was a late bloomer. Like I went to college. I was 17 years old. Like I was still a baby. Like literally growing into my body, and also I had a huge growth spurt going into my last year of high school. Like
From what to what?
I went from 6'1" to 6'5" going into my last year. So like that junior year, that summer, I sprouted up like 4 inches. So I had played middle linebacker my whole high school career, and then I got new coaches from Austin Westlake, and they're like, you're not playing middle linebacker. Your ass is 6'5", 240. You know what I mean? They were like, we're going to move you to D end and tight end. Just listen to what we say. We're going to get you an offer. And I was like, all right.
So did you visit Eastern?
I visited Eastern before my senior year. That's when I got my offer. They're my only offer.
Walk me through. So you come to campus. You're from Texas.
Yep.
Eastern Michigan, for those of you that don't know, is just outside Ann Arbor by Detroit. Mm-hmm. And what was it like?
I mean, I loved it at the time. Like, you know, people have their opinions on Ypsilanti.
Yeah.
You're like we're like the blue collar version of Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor's a little uppity.
Yeah.
We're the other side of the train tracks. Like we're a little grimy, but we accept it. You know what I mean? We love it. I enjoyed my time there. I literally have some of the best friends. You know, I have my own podcast, The Rush, with my brothers, Brogan Roback, Darian Terrell, my old teammates.
Yeah.
We're like family over there. So
is that the chain?
Oh, this is the chain, the Eastern chain.
Yeah.
This is
awesome.
School, the only one that gave me a chance. So I've been, you know, it's been public, but like I've given, you know, over $1 million back to my school. They were the only ones that believed in me when nobody else did.
That's why I brought it up, because you are not afraid to give back.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
You came in 2 years ago. Maybe it was 3 now. I don't know. You got an interim coach. You come into Indianapolis. I've done a radio show in Indy for 100 years. And I'm sitting there with my wife. I go, all the coach got to do is beat one of these two teams. They got to beat the Raiders or they got to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. They go to the playoffs. And I'm watching, and you on one end, and I got to tell you, man, Derek Carr shut the whole place up. Derek Carr was like, I'm just sitting there in a suite, and Derek Carr's telling my ass to shut the hell up.
Yeah.
And you're kicking it. I mean, I don't even, like, it. I'm sitting there watching you two guys, and I'm like, Jesus, these people are dominating the entire state of Indiana. Where did you get that motor from? When did that motor start?
I think, honestly, it started right when I got to Eastern Michigan. You know,
You didn't have that in high school.
I wasn't like that. I was still growing into my body. Like, I wasn't the person I was at that time. I was immature, still growing, learning how to be a professional. I was young. And once I got to Eastern, that was my second year ever playing defensive end. I wanted to play right away. I'm like 220 pounds, 225 pounds. They're like, your ass ain't playing. You're going to redshirt. So that whole year, I was able to be on scout team, and we had 2 NFL tackles. Andrew Wiley, he's still playing in the league, going in his 9th year. I'm going against him every day, and I'm on his ass every single day.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to play that position. And that year, you're playing scout team. I'm just trying things out, learning how to do the spin move, learning how to do the double swipe. All these things I'm putting into my game, and I was literally winning Scout Team Player of the Week every single week and traveling with the guys. So that award, I still have that plaque right in my office. Scout Team Player of the Year, that's my favorite award because that's how I learned how to play DN, like literally just freestyling and learning every single day.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Everybody wants it immediately. You know, you talk redshirting to a kid, at least when I was coaching, people are like, hey, I don't want to do that, man.
Yeah, no.
Greatest
crazy.
thing ever for you.
Best thing ever happened to me, for sure.
That's you know what? That is remarkable. You're now in the NFL. And I always say this about teams. You can tell me to kiss your ass, whatever you want to tell me. I don't care. I feel like your team always has drama, the Raiders. I feel like there's always stuff going on with the Raiders. And it isn't you. Like, I'm old. This is going back to, like, the 70s, too. There's always – and great organization, all that, same owner, Davis to Davis.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Raiders?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Okay.
I've seen some since I got in the league. Like my rookie year, I come in and I got Antonio Brown coming in on a hot air balloon with his feet burned off. Like that was, I thought that was normal.
I forgot.
You know what I mean? We're doing Hard Knocks. I got Richie Incognito in the locker room with me, Vontaze Burfict. Like we had some characters.
Oh, you had some guys.
We had some characters to say the least. But yeah, there's been nothing short of drama since I've been in Las Vegas. Now, we got Pete Carroll, a coach who's been proven champion, one of 4 coaches ever to be a national champion and a Super Bowl winning head coach. So, we'll see. I'm taking it one day at a time, but I'm feeling good right now.
Do you feel like Tom Brady's one of the owners as a player? Do you know that? Do you feel that?
Absolutely.
Do you?
He didn't get part ownership to be an investment guy.
Right.
He's coming in to, put his stamp on the organization. He's a winner. He's won more Super Bowls than any quarterback, any player ever. So, he's definitely involved. I've gotten to meet with the ownership group. I've gotten to meet with the front office, all the new people, obviously Pete Carroll as well. And, we got some, contract situation stuff that we're talking through as well. I'm, feeling positive about that. But like I said, a lot of winners in the building now. So we're trying to get the thing right.
You seem like a guy that is total team.
Absolutely.
You seem like a guy.
Absolutely.
A lot of guys aren't. You seem so as you. I don't know. I don't know that you got to grow into leadership. I watch you play, and as a former coach, I'm like, well, that dude you're going to win. But is it frustrating for you being a guy that is total team to see distractions that ultimately cost you winning?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the most frustrating thing on the planet for me. I'm not here to kiss my own ass, but I'm an ultimate competitor.
Yeah.
Like everything I do, I'm trying to win. Like I don't sleep right if I lose a damn game of 2K at night. Like I'm trying to win everything I do. So yeah, it's been extremely frustrating. I want to win. I want to be on a consistent winner. I know what I bring to the table, not just as a player, but as a leader. Like I know I bring guys along, and obviously there's been so much change. I've had 5 head coaches in 7 years. I've had a different D-line group damn near every single year. But I feel like everything happens for a reason. For me, I want to be able to play in those big games consistently. I'm sitting here watching, the Chiefs and the Bills and these teams, and I know I'm one of the best in the world at what I do, respectfully, and I want to be in those games. So I'm optimistic, but I want a chance to win for sure.
A lot of guys say I'm the ultimate competitor, and I go, okay, right. And then I watch them play, and they jog back. In basketball parlance, they jog back on defense, or I don't ever say. This is honest to God. I'm not trying to kiss your ass, but I watch the line. Urban Meyer, when we were coaching together, he's like, watch the line, don't watch the ball. Yeah. So I watch the line. That's all I watch. And the line tells you what's going to happen in the play. If you give a good quarterback time, he's going to complete a pass. If you rush him, and so I watch. Whenever I watch the Raiders, I'm watching you. Honest to God, totally. And you're exactly what you said. But I got to ask you this. I give you credit because I would want to knock the living shit out of Patrick Mahomes any chance I got going to the sideline. I don't care. Like, I'm almost like, if you want to do that bullshit where you put your arm out and you're going to get an extra yard, then I should be able to knock you into the freaking training table.
Knock his teeth out. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
What's it like when you get close and all of a sudden he throws one of these and it costs you a sack?
You hate it. I mean, there's a lot of even you look at Baker Mayfield, he's one of those guys. It's like he's not going to just throw the ball in the dirt. Like he's going to try to break the sack and make every single play. So Mahomes is the best in the world at what he does, and I love that though. Like honestly, those are the matchups I look for. Like how you doing? I've been able to sack Mahomes more than anybody in the league because I feel like when you're going against a guy like that, it elevates your play. Like playing Lamar Jackson, playing those guys, like the stakes are extremely high. It's a division opponent. Like if we want a chance to win, I gotta wreck the game. That's how I look at it every single week. So you're playing the Chiefs, best team in the world, back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Like I gotta be at my best. So those matchups are always classic, and I look forward to it every single time.
How do you see this game going?
I truly, I was talking to my agent earlier, and I feel like he was so spot on with his prediction. Like I've been saying Philly since the playoffs started. I think Philly's gonna win. Yeah, I've been consistent with that. I think, like you said, you look at the O-line and D-line, they got the most dominant fronts. I feel like overall.
Carter's a mother, man.
Yeah, you got Jalen Carter. I mean, I wanted him too. You know what I mean? Like, I love my boy. You know, I love what we're doing. But like, that kid is generational.
Oof.
You know what I mean? He's a problem. But you just see like both sides. You got Lane Johnson, one of the best tackles in the game. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. They got so many guys. And then on the defensive front, they got just dudes rolling in, rotating in, and getting out to the passer. So I feel like Philly. I think it's either going to be an extremely close game. In the Chiefs, if it's close, I feel like the Chiefs have the edge. But also, I feel like it might be like a Seattle versus Denver, where Philly comes out rolling and might run them out the building.
I mean, you score 55 in a championship game,
like casually too. Like you didn't. It just They were just from the first play to the last.
That's unbelievable, right?
Yeah, they made it look too easy. Unreal.
Let me go back to something. When you're with the Raiders, you know, again, this goes back in the day. They had all the crazy guys, John Matuszak, all these guys.
Oh yeah.
Is that still a part of the Raider feel?
Absolutely. I mean, when I got drafted to the Raiders, like obviously we haven't had success in the last 15, 20 years. Like we've made the playoffs one time since I've been there, but it still is the Raiders. You know, at the end of the day, the Raiders are the Raiders. That history, you can't turn back from history. You'd have fit in perfect. Yeah, like I feel like when I got drafted, I was like, it made too much sense. I was like, I ain't meant to be anywhere else. I'm meant to be a Raider. Like I got it tatted on me before I made a play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I fully bought into that. So yeah, like you have George Atkinson, a bunch of legends walking around the building all the time. Charles Woodson, you know, guys like that in my phone. Howie Long. That's what I look at it as. Like that's the way my mentality, how I approach it is like I look at football like how football is supposed to be played. I'm out there trying to take heads off. Like that's truly my mentality. So those guys really set that standard. And for me, it's not about, okay, we're going to try to be like them. It's like, no, we're going to be the new version, a better version of them. So that's what motivates me. And that's why, you know, I work the way I work.
Yeah, there's a standard. What let me ask you a question. What you don't just show up, have a motor, be good size, and be as good as you are. What's a you're in the middle of getting ready for the next season, whenever that starts, May, whatever it starts. Maybe it never ends. But what's your hardest day? Like I watch Derrick Henry's workouts, and I'm like, God dang.
Animal.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's your workout? What do you do when you're going your hardest to get ready? What's a day like?
You know, for me, I truly, and I'm not saying this in any other way. I truly believe I'm the hardest worker in the NFL. It doesn't stop for me, and it's not just everyone works out, everyone does their thing, whatever. I think it's the attention to detail and the overall load of how many hours I put into it. I do it every day. This morning I was up at 4:45 walking down Bourbon Street with my agent, and they're alone in the Ritz. Like got somebody to get me in there. I put in 3 hours of work before I got
here. Did you really? Already?
It doesn't stop. You know what I mean? I work 365. I meal prep 365. I'm traveling. I have the hotel. My nutritionist call them so I get my meals in. I don't skip a beat because I want to be the best in the world at what I do. And it's got me this far. Some people, you know, they have conversations who's the best in this and that. And for me, that's what motivates me. I want to be the best in the world and win championships. And that's literally why I play the game. So, yeah.
I'm not. You don't have to get into this if you don't. It's well documented. I love the fact when people go through struggles and they come out the ass end of it. They come out the other end of it better, stronger, tougher, and that's your story.
Absolutely,
it is.
I wouldn't be here without it. You know, I'm almost 5 years sober in March, so that's.
These guys are telling me to hurry up. I don't want to hurry up. I want to talk to you,
I could sit here all day.
I'm loving talking to you.
This is great.
Well, I got to go.
Yeah, but no, it's truly like that's what it's about. If I didn't get sober, if I didn't clean my life up. I wouldn't be in this position.
Did you have a moment? Did you have a thing, or was it just overall?
Yeah, you know, honestly, people talk about your rock bottom, and for me, you know, you think of some crazy like
I would
know, I wrecked my car. Like I did in college. I wrecked my car, got a DUI. Like I thought that would be a rock bottom. It wasn't. It honestly was the most simple thing. I woke up one morning, felt like death, like horrible. I looked myself in the mirror, and I literally was like, I don't even recognize who I am. Like I couldn't even like look myself in the eyes. I'm like, I need to get help. And from that day on, it's been up and up since. You know, it's not perfect, but at the end of the day, if I could stay sober, it gives me a chance. And going on 5 years.
You just did it.
Yeah, absolutely. They literally, basically, I called my wife, called my agent, called everybody. They sent somebody literally to kidnap me and took me to L.A. and I got sober. That's why I love like going to LA so much from time to time, just because like that place helped me change my life.
Isn't that amazing? So, a lot of times it's the other way when you go to LA.
Yeah, exactly.
For a lot of people.
Exactly. But for me, like it holds a special place in my heart. It just feels right when I'm there.
That's all, man. Sure. I'm so glad I got a chance to meet you because it's a blast. But all right, now you're here for Saks underwears.
Saks underwear. You know, my brother was a Calvin Klein model back in the day.
Get out of here.
Swear to God. He was
like one of them dudes that just.
Well, yeah, and he was a D1 football player. Played at SMU. Had a Calvin Klein deal. Like. Unbelievable.
Really?
So when they came to me with this opportunity, I'm like, you know, we want you to, you know, model some underwear and all this stuff. I'm like, what are we talking about? I couldn't believe I would do it. But honestly, the people involved, everyone involved, you know, we're helping give NIL back to Eastern Michigan. I'm getting some kids, you know, some money in their pocket. Able to help out. And honestly, for me, I wear it every single day. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not going to obviously take my pants off and show you, but, you know, we rock it every day.
Let's make some news here.
Yeah, we're not going to make some news. But, yeah, Saks has been incredible. Best underwear in the game, period.
That's pretty cool, though. You're giving it back, and Ashton Gentry's with you.
Yeah, Ashton Gentry, Heisman runner-up. We got more and more people coming in and out. So
who drafted him? Do you know, Gentry?
Who drafts him?
Yeah, who drafted Gentry? You're going to knock the shit out of him. You're going to be partnering with him in
we'll
something.
See.
And then
hey, he might be a Raider. You never know. He might be someone.
Oh, that's right. The draft hadn't even happened. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Stop it.
We'll see what happens.
You know,
we'll see what happens.
Man, if I like talking to you. You came into Indy and literally kicked an entire state's ass. I mean, literally. Like, I told my wife, I go, that man on the defense is kicking our ass, and we're sitting here in the suite, and that man on offense, Derek Carr, is kicking our ass and telling us to shut the fuck up because he's going like this. Like, hey, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's been a blast talking to you.
Absolutely.
Sponsored by Hims, and we're so excited to be partnering with Hims. As you see over my shoulder, presented or sponsored by Hims. Don't be a fool. Go get some weight loss meds from Hims. Go to hims.com/touchdown. Mike Pereira. You see him, you know him, you love him. He's all over your screen because, well, frankly, there's a lot of reviews. But I must say this. As a former coach and player at a pretty high level, Indiana basketball, I always said, take it to somebody else that games are rigged, that games are fixed, you know, as a broadcaster doing ESPN, you hate my team. You don't like my team. Okay, no, I hate every team. Okay, officials hate your team. Let's just say that, right? Isn't that how it is? We hate your team.
It's like as an official, it's like when you hear the stuff that's going on now, it's like nobody's ever said anything to us about favoring a team, of not calling something that should be called because you want this team to win. Nobody's ever said. They never said it to me when I officiated. I never said it to them, the officials, when I ran the program for 12 years. It's officiating, and I understand how people think this, but there are myths about officiating. You know, the makeup call was my favorite one.
Oh, yeah.
The makeup call. Okay, the guy made a bad call. Okay, so now he's purposely going to make a bad call that benefits the other team. Now he's got 2 incorrect calls, and he might get fired.
Right. That's what I was going to say, right?
It's really kind of nonsensical, but we live in this world of social media where everything grows, and the whole conspiracy thing. I wouldn't go to Roger Goodell's, necessarily his statement that it was ridiculous, although it is. But, I mean, I get how fans can think that way, and numbers would seem to reflect it. But when I even think about the combination, what do the Chiefs have? I mean, I think the Eagles have a better roster than the Chiefs have. But what do they have? They have the best coach in the league and the best quarterback in the league. And so if you are in contention in the fourth quarter, you got a hell of a chance to win just because of that good coach and the good quarterback. So it's just a shame that it's about officiating.
You know, and I know everybody says the best officials don't get seen, all that kind of stuff. But this has been remarkable to me. And I'm curious whether you think this is a byproduct, an unintended consequence. People now know officials' names, and I think gambling has a big deal to do with that. I think people, like, I'll look on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, and they're like, well, so-and-so's and such and his crew is officiating this game, and they've called 6 holds against this guy, 6. I don't think that's good for the sport. It's here. You're not putting that thing back in the box, but I think gambling's a big part of this.
Oh, I think it's a huge part of it, and you're right. I mean, I think that the old philosophy was with officiating, sweep it under the rug. Okay, forget about it. Don't mention it, whatever. Controversy, forget it. Don't address it.
Yeah.
The fact, though, is that I think the good thing about the rules analysts right now is that we want to help the fans understand the rules, understand the philosophy of the rules, why things are called. We want to be the ones that admit if a mistake is made, because I think there has to be transparency. And I think that the fans, if they understand the rules and they understand why calls are made or not made, then I think they enjoy the game actually more. So I think it's better that they get some of the exposure now, but you can ask some of them that have gotten the exposure, the negative aspects of that, like over social media and the threats that they've gotten. There is consequences to it, but they're tough guys, and they put their butts on the line out there when nobody else really wants to. They just want to criticize from the outside, but they've learned to kind of digest all that negative information and not worry about it.
I learned something the other day. I didn't know this. That an official can award a touchdown if a team keeps jumping over them. I think 98% of the viewing public thought two things. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if these guys are going to keep doing that, the ball can only go so much farther. And also, the other thing is, damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right?
I was
there.
Have you ever
seen it?
I was there, and I was so excited because my favorite rule in the book that's been in since like 1942 is called a palpably unfair act. That's what it's called. I have been waiting to say that on Fox for like 15 years now. And when I saw what was happening here, and Sean Hockley made the announcement that he could penalize him for unsportsmanlike conduct if it happened again, and then it did. And then I said, interestingly enough, they could actually now award a score if he deems that to be equitable. And he came out and said, well, he already warned them that they were going to get an unsportsmanlike. They didn't. But now he said, the referee, kind of dramatic, he held his heart and said, hand over his heart and said, the referee can actually award a score. And so then, I came back on and said, it's called a palpably unfair act. It was designed for a play in the 40s where a substitute came off the field, off the sideline, and tackled a runner.
I remember I read about it when I was a kid.
Yeah, and there was really no rule to address it. So it seemed, I don't know who came up with palpably, but it seemed palpably unfair and said, okay, you as the referee and your crew, you can do whatever you think is equitable. So I went and I said, well, it's palpably unfair act. And I think Burkhart looked at me like, why are you smiling so much when you say this? And it was because I've wanted to say this for so long.
But you'd never seen it.
No,
never.
I had never seen it.
At any level.
Never seen it. And it's so much judgment involved because if like a player now comes off the sideline and makes a tackle, you just sit there and go, okay, what seems fair? Okay, we could do 15-yard penalty, but I think he would have gained 30. So you can then make it a 30. You can do basically whatever you want if it's a non-football act. And I think Sean was right to go down that direction and get close to being one of the officials.
That is interesting, though. If it was a 15-yard penalty, guys breaking away for a touchdown, I'm coming off the sideline, I'm hitting them, I'm tackling them, and next thing you know, okay, he's at the 40, oh, take that thing to the 25, you got 2 seconds left. I mean, it's something like that, right? That makes total sense.
And the rule states it, whatever the referee thinks is equitable. That's how it's defined for the penalty enforcement.
That's a lot of power, and I like it. I like it in that case.
I mean, just the fact that there's those rules that are in there. Now I'm waiting for somebody to stand underneath the goalpost on a 55-yard field goal attempt, and they're going to put their
elbow right
foot, and let them jump up. Let them jump up and bat the ball to keep it from going over the crossbar.
Okay, that used to be able to do it. The Kansas City Chiefs did it with a guy named Elmo Wright back in the early 70s. Why can't you do that anymore?
49ers did it with R.C. Owens.
That's right.
Who had leaped into. So
why can't you do
now
that?
They said, well, it's batting the ball. So it's illegal to bat the ball in any direction in the end zone. But here's the thing, it's not your typical bat. So they had to come up with another description. What do you call it? I want the referee to come out and say, goaltending.
Yes.
Goaltending,
yes.
Number 27 defense.
Yes.
And you award the field goal. I want
it the other
way.
Or
you can make it 15 yards and get a first down and continue the drive. As soon as I get goaltending, I'm done. I'm done. I got my palpably unfair act and goaltending. I'm finished.
Mike goes down. You walk
That's
off.
it. Drop Mike.
All right, let
Yep.
me ask you about that rule, because I am a kid. I'm watching the Kansas City Chiefs. It's probably, 1972. I'm 10, 11 years old. And I think it was Elmo Wright. All right, so I love this rule. I swear to God, as an old basketball coach, I love this rule. What if he grabs it? What if he goes above? This is the goalpost. He goes above it, catches it. What's the what?
You have now successfully goaltended in the NFL.
Man.
And the referee will go to the kicking team and say, even though he didn't bat it, he caught it,
Yeah.
which is essentially batting it by the rule. He kept it from going over the crossbar. What would you like? Would you like a touch? Do you like a field goal, or do you want 15 yards and keep the drive alive?
I think that's crap. I think that you should, like the running Herb Williams, who was a sprinter that played for the Athletics. You should have a guy on your roster, 53rd man, that can go jump up
right.
and do some. You know, what's it like running out there for a Super Bowl? And you're calling the game. People don't talk about nerves. Quarterbacks nervous, coaches nervous, offense coordinator, everybody. What's it like for an official?
The whole experience is different because all year long, if you haven't had a Super Bowl before, all year long, regular season, postseason games, wild card division championship, it's you and only you when you go on the road. That's it. You leave home either late Friday or very early Saturday. You get into a city, you have a meeting, you have a bite to eat together, you work the game the next day, then you go home Sunday night. Not the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, that's your plum. I mean, this is what you've worked for your entire careers to get the Super Bowl game. So now you're going to treat this game as a celebration of sorts. So guess what? Your family, your wife comes, your kids come, your aunt and uncles want to go. Your best friends say, can you get me a ticket? And the next thing you know, you have a traveling party of 10. And that perspective, that focus that you might have in preparation shifts from the game somewhat to making sure everybody's okay in your group. And it also costs you money. I mean, because you're paying for all these people to go, but they don't do it. They don't do it for the money. I don't think people really realize, too, that officials, just like players, get Super Bowl rings. And that's, you ought to see. I mean, honestly, they get these rings, they get these beautiful rings, and they don't hesitate displaying them. I mean, every airline flight, they're showing it to every flight attendant that goes by, and they're so proud of the fact. But then when it does hit on Saturday and even beginning on Friday, they kind of corral them and they get them pointed in the right direction in preparation. But trust me, when the game starts, when you're out there just before kickoff, you're nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't worked too many games where there's 120 plus million that are watching the game, and all the other officials that you work with, they're all watching. So the pressure is intense. And then you go through what we're going through now with the favoritism thing. I mean, that's an added burden on them. It's not going to change the way they officiate, but they want to get through this game and not be a story at the end. And so it's just different. It's harder. The reward is greater, and it's a memory that you'll have for life.
How many did you do?
0.
You never did one.
Back in my day, and up until this year, I mean, you had to have 5 full years of experience before you could be qualified to work a Super Bowl. And so I was only on the field for 2, and then went in to run the program after my second year. This year's interesting because 2 of the Super Bowl officials, it's only their 3rd year. So they've changed the qualifications. The umpire worked a championship game, worked in Philadelphia, actually, the week before this. And so it's changed, but it eluded me, but they always held that ring right in front of my face too, and I finally figured out, how do I get a ring? Well, my last year, this is devious, but I don't care. We changed the ring makers. We said, I said, we've had this same group that's made our rings forever. Let's entertain some other vendors. So I brought this guy, came in, and he showed me. I said, it looks great. make up one and put my name on the side.
Here we go.
I never wear it. But just so everybody knows, I never wear it. It's hanging in my on a shelf in my office. But that's my Super Bowl ring.
Great to have you here. We were talking about something off air, and Jerome at Notre Dame. I was telling him I went to one game. I grew up there. I grew up an hour away, Gary, Indiana. Catholic kid, followed Notre Dame. I go to a game. The bus is there. They tie Michigan. Hey, Jerome, my wife and I went walking on campus. You'd have thought you guys were on a 12-game losing streak, man. Those people are crazy.
They love their football,
Woo!
and if it's a bad day, everybody knows about it. It's like a day of mourning, and so a tie. It's like they don't know how to take a tie.
Right.
It's like how do we feel?
Right.
And so the natural thought is, it's like a loss.
Yes.
And so we go, Arr. And so, but you know what? We welcome that because that's a fan base that wants to support and they're involved and connected with the program. So you got to find a way to get some wins, though, because it can turn against you pretty quick.
Well, they did. Coach Freeman, heck of a job, right? What did you think? Going in the national championship game, everybody pretty much said, Ohio State's got the better team. Turned out they did. Okay. But Notre Dame had a hell of a year, particularly coming back from a Northern Illinois loss early at home.
Yeah, it was one of those scenarios where they were a quality football team, right? So when you look at it, yes, as it matches up, you say, yeah, you just didn't have enough talent. When one team has just that much talent, it's hard to overcome that, right? But they came close, they played extremely well. But what it does is shows that the Fighting Irish are a lot closer than a lot of people think in terms of being a championship caliber football team. And I think that's the takeaway from that. It's that the Irish, they're on the ascension. They're on their way up. And a lot of programs are not where they are. And they showed it, beating a game Georgia team and controlling the line of scrimmage, right? And there's some key areas you want to make sure that you can handle, right? Because I think that was always the knock on Notre Dame. Can they be physical? Can they handle some of these big programs? And they showed they were able to do that. So I'm really excited about the future of where Notre Dame football is headed.
Yeah, I would think. Marcus Freeman has recruited really well. I think that he, sometimes Brian Kelly was one of my best friends growing up. They roomed together at Grand Valley as graduate assistants. And I remember him telling me 100 years ago, man, when that dude gets pissed, his face turns bright red, man.
Yes, yes.
But Marcus came off as a guy that you'd want to play for, right? Pretty in the modern era of what players are about, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to spend some time with him up close. I was going back to school to finish my degree, and he found out I was on campus. He had just gotten hired as the head coach and asked me to come in and meet with him, and I met with him for about 2 hours, and we talked about everything under the sun. And after the meeting, he says to me, well, what are you doing next Wednesday? I said, well, no. He said, let's meet every Wednesday. So I met with him every Wednesday for the entire semester. And, he would have a notepad and he'd be taking notes. And what it did, it impressed me so much because he was just showing me, hey, I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
I'm in this seat, but I'm willing to learn. And I think that attitude, it permeates through that whole entire team, and they've connected with him on a level that most college coaches never get to, right? And so he's able to recruit those young guys, and they follow him, they listen to him, and they play for him. And that's what you want when you're a college football coach.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. By the way, here in Indy now, I do a show. I've done it for 15 years in Indy. We wish Nick Harper's wife hadn't stabbed him in the leg the day before.
You know what? It could have been a lot different. So I'm not going to say, oh my goodness.
I turned the ball over at Indiana to go to Final Four 100 years ago in '84, and I remember running down, watching the guy that stole it for me, going, "Foul him! Do something!
Do something!
Do
No!
something!
Yeah,
Oh my God!"
yes. It was that same feeling for me.
I know, right?
I saw he's weaving. I'm like, no, and it felt like it was happening in slow motion, right? And it's like, get him! And when Ben finally got him to the ground, I couldn't believe, first of all, that Ben got it, because I just knew he was going to hit the sideline and he was going to be gone. But for whatever reason, he didn't feel confident, right? I think the knee, because he didn't just take off to the sideline and force a race to the sideline, and so because of that, we were able to get him down, and it changed. I think it changed the end of my career for sure.
Oh man, look, you had your career would have been Hall of Fame, great, everything. Hey, in this game, going into a Super Bowl, everybody talks about this, and I get it. You know, you got to get the first week, get your tickets squared away, get your family squared away.
Yep.
But now that we're, 3 or 4 days away, what is it different? And if so, how is it different than the preparation for a normal game? Right, I'm not talking about a week ago. I'm talking about right now, like from this day forward. What's it like for teams?
Well, this week is probably the most normal. Of the whole time. So once you find out that first week, it's a lot of crazy, but then you're figuring out the game plan. So they're installing and they're doing all this stuff, but you've got a lot of noise around you, right? And so going in the end of the first week and the beginning of the week of the game, that's when you really get most of your work in. And so right now, it's just kind of walkthroughs. You're going through some stuff. You're having a practice, but it's not a real heavy practice by any stretch. They're kind of adding some things that they saw that they want to kind of add to the game plan late. So it's not a heavy practice time, but it's more kind of walkthroughs, getting an understanding of what the actual plan is and locking in on that.
What does, a lot of people say, hey, you can't bet against Mahomes. When I looked at it, I thought the Eagles were a damn good football team. Like, I watched them, you watch them back-to-back. One's on the 3 o'clock game, one's on the 6 o'clock game. What do you see happening in this game?
Well, it's about the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, can Kansas City control the line of scrimmage, right? If they can, because that's been their strength this whole time. When you look at that defense, they've forced teams to be one-dimensional, right? They've taken away the run, forced teams to have to throw the football, and they play sticky coverage, they play man-to-man. So now it forces the quarterback to make great throws, right? So that's why it takes one of those special quarterbacks to beat Kansas City, because they force you to have to be precise. But I see a different game here.
Where are you at with Jalen Hurts?
Well, I think Jalen Hurts can do that. He showed it last Super Bowl against them, right? So they know he's more than capable. But I think the game comes down to can the Eagles run the football? Because that's going to be the basis of their offense and how they get down the field. If they are, relegated to have to throw the football, now it takes the RPO game away from you, right? You can't run the football. Now you can't fake it. The play action goes away. Now a straight drop back game is not the Eagles' strong suit, and it's not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So I believe the game is going to be decided the first 2 drives in this game. If Kansas City can stop the run, then it's going to be a tough day. Now, if the Eagles can run the football with some type of regularity, then I think the Eagles win this one going away.
Well, you mentioned the line of scrimmage. One of the things that's fascinating to me is Spagnuolo for the Chiefs seems like he makes the right call every time. And whoever he's calling, whether it's a blitz, you mentioned sticky cover, seems like whoever he called, let's just take the blitz. Whoever he calls the blitz gets there. Like, it's not like, they picked up the blitz. How important, people talk about players played. Tom Moore, the famous line coach, told me one time, end of the game, it's players, not plays. But scheme matters, does it not? Both
100% it does matter.
Yeah.
The scheme matters. And when he's saying that the players ultimately go out there and make the plays, because you put them in the right position and you expect them to go out there.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times when a player has to win, right? It's a one-on-one. If I can draw all this up for all these guys to be one-on-one, I'm expecting one of these guys to win, right? So that's what they're talking about there. Now, with Spag, I think he is incredible as a defensive coordinator. He understands what you want to do, and he finds a way to disrupt you from a a numbers perspective, right? He's bringing one more than you can bring, and he's disguising it in such a way. And I think that's what people don't really understand. It's the disguise of the blitz that really is throwing these quarterbacks off, because now they see this, they say, okay, from what I see, he can't blitz.
Right.
He cannot blitz.
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy.
Yeah.
I need to watch this guy over
Yeah.
here. He's the guy. So we circle, so we move protection. We go, and this guy blitzes, right? And so they have the ability to blitz from anywhere, right? And these guys can cover. The safeties can cover. And so that creates a situation where anybody can blitz. And I think when you have that ability from a defensive perspective, then everything opens up for you, because now the offense has got to be paranoid. That's why running the ball is going to be imperative. If you can run you negate all of that. If you now are stuck in a situation where you got to sit back, and that's why the Bills had a rough time, because you got to sit back there and figure out who's coming and what's. You're going to be in big trouble. So I think that's the game plan the Eagles have to use. They've got to run the football.
As you were saying that, Mike Tyson's quote is my favorite quote of all time. Everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face.
That's right.
That's the
That's
best
right.
quote in the history of sports.
It is.
Because that's what running the ball is. Hey, look, great for you. You're going to blitz. Yeah, you're coming. No, shut up. We're going to knock it up.
Nah,
right? That's what
we're
it
coming
becomes
right
up.
at you. Right.
Yeah, right. And that's what you're talking about. I've never heard it explained the way you just explained it in terms of blitzing, and it makes total sense. I think you're coming because it's disguised that he can't come, yet he comes.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me.
Absolutely. And so you say to yourself, all right, we're going to take advantage of that. But you don't know when it happens,
Right.
when
Who
it's
do
going to
you take
happen.
advantage of?
Right.
Yeah.
And so you don't know. He doesn't do it in obvious situations. He changes. And he has players that can win, and he'll draw it up where, hey, I'm not going to really create a disadvantage for ourselves, but I'm going to put my guys in the best position. I know my best player, Jones. I'm going to get him one-on-one, right? And now I'm expecting my top 10 defensive linemen to win in that situation. So he's putting themselves in those positions, his players in a position where they can be successful. And that's all you can ask.
Yeah, and I mean, they do it week after week
after week.
Hey, I want to talk about, before I let you go, the CDC's foundation, Live to the Beat, talking about literally your heart, talking about people's hearts. In fact, it's funny, we're talking about this. My brother-in-law, I just talked to him on the way here. He just went in. He's an iron worker in Detroit, and he just went into the hospital. He's hooked up. He doesn't know what's going on with his heart. Talk about what you're involved in and why it's so personal to you.
Yeah, well, it's really important to me because I lost my father from a heart attack, and whenever we get around the Super Bowl season, it means so much to me because he got a chance to see my last game, me winning championship in Detroit, and he passed away just a couple months after that, 61 years old, right? And so I understand and I look at my mortality now. I'm 52 years old, right? And so I've got to do the necessary things and take the small steps to make sure my quality of life is there for my children. Right? I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to do those things. And so it's really important. And so that's why, I want to take this opportunity to really explain it to people and get some of those football fans to understand that you can make some small steps by, getting out and walking, changing the small things in your eating habits that really can pay dividends in the long run. And so I kind of share my story, but there's other people that are sharing their stories. And if you can go to livetothebeat.org/legacy. And there are more stories and more instances where people are making changes and seeing some things, and it's saving their lives, quite frankly. And that's what this is all about. It's about trying to save a life.
Appreciate you, man. That's
Thank
great
you.
stuff. Thanks
Appreciate
for coming.
that.
It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
Oh, man. That's it. There he goes, the bus. Thank you. And Mike Pereira is going to join us.